Hare Krishna, welcome to all devotees. Today we continue Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9. Answer citing by the we try to understand to Shloka Kramanka 39, 38 to 40. The path of true knowledge, engaging the senses in devotional service. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Sri Shuka Uvacha Sampradishya evam ajanaha jananam parameshtinam Ashyatah tasya tatrupam atmanah nirunat harihi. Antarhitah indriyayat arthaya hare vihita anjalihi. Sarvabhutamaya vishvam sasarja idam sapurvavat. Tapatihi dharmapatihi ekada niyaman yaman. Bhadram prajanam anvichan atishtata swartha kammeya. Sri Shuka Uvacha Sampratisya evam ajanaha jananam parameshtinam Ashatah tasya tat rupam atmana naruna harihi. Antarhita indriya arthaya hare vihita anjalihi sarvabhutamaya vishvam sasarjaitam sapurvavat. Prajapati dharmapatihi ekada niyamana yamana. Bhadram prajanam anvichan atishtat swa artha kammeya. Sri Shuka Uvacha Sampratisya evam ajanaha jananam parameshtinam Ashyatah tasya tatrupam atmana nirunat harihi. Antarhita indriya arthaya hare vihita anjalihi sarvabhutamaya vishvam sasarja idam sapurvavat. Prajapatihi dharmapatihi ekada niyaman yaman. Bhadram pajanam achvinnan atishtata swa artha kammeya. Hare Krishna Pranam. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sukadeva Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in his transcendental form, instructing Brahmaji, the leader of the living entity, disappeared. On the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who is the object of transcendental enjoyment for the senses of devotees, Brahmā, with folded hands, began to recreate the universe full with living entities as it was previously. Thus, once upon a time, the forefather of living entities and the father of religiousness, Lord Brahma, situated himself in acts of regulative principles, desiring self-interest for the welfare of all living entities. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly mentioned that the Lord is Ajana, or the Supreme Person, and that he was showing his transcendental form, Atmanaha Rupam, to Brahmaji, while instructing him in the summarization of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in 4 verses. He is Ajana, or the Supreme Person, amongst Jananam, or all person. All living entities are individual person, and amongst all such persons, Lord Hari is supreme, as confirmed in the Shruti mantra, nityo nityānāṁ ce-tanānām. So there is no place for impersonal features in the transcendental world, as there are impersonal features in the material world. Whenever there is cetana or knowledge, the personal feature comes in. In the spiritual world, everything is full of knowledge, and therefore everything in the transcendental world, the land, the water, the tree, the mountain, the river, the man, the animal, the bird, everything is of same quality, namely cetana, or therefore everything there is individual, personal. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives us this information as the supreme Vedic literature, and it was personally instructed by the supreme personality of Godhead to Brahmaji, so that the leader of the living entities might broadcast the message to all in the universe in order to teach the supreme knowledge of bhakti-yoga. Brahmaji in his turn instructed Narada, his beloved son, the same message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Narada in his turn taught the same to Vāsudeva, who again taught it to Shukadeva Goswami. Through Shukadeva Goswami's grace and by the mercy of the Maharaj Parikshit, we are all given Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam perpetually to learn the science of the absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. The supreme personality of Godhead, Hari, is the object for fulfilling the senses of a living entity, illusioned by the glaring reflection of the external energy. The living entities worship the senses instead of engaging them properly in fulfilling the desires of the Supreme. In the Hari Bhakti Subodhaya 13.2, there is the following verse: Akshnoho phalam tvadrusha darshanam I tanoho phalam tvadrusha gatra sangha jivva phalam tvadrusha kirtanam hi sudurlabha bhagavatahi loke. O devotee of the Lord, the purpose of this visual sense is fulfilled simply by seeing you, and to touch your body is the fulfillment of bodily touch. The tongue is meant for glorifying your qualities, because in this world, a pure devotee of the Lord is very difficult to find. Originally, the senses of the living entity were awarded for this purpose, namely to engage them in the transcendental loving service of the Lord or that of his devotee. But the conditioned souls, illusioned by the material energy, became captivated by sense enjoyment. Therefore, the whole process of God consciousness is meant to rectify the conditional activities of the senses and to re-engage them in the direct service of the Lord. Lord Brahma thus engaged his senses in the Lord by recreating the conditioned living entities to act in the recreated universe. This material universe is thus created and annihilated by the will of the Lord. It is created to give the conditioned soul a chance to act, to return home back to Godhead. And servants like Brahmaji, Naradji, Vyasaji, and their company become busy with the same purpose of the Lord, to reclaim the conditioned souls from the field of sense gratification and return them to the normal stage of engaging the senses in service of the Lord. Instead of doing so, that is converting the actions of the senses, the impersonalists began to make the conditioned souls senseless, and the Lord also senseless. That is improper treatment for the conditioned soul. The disease condition of the senses may be treated by curing the defect, but not uprooting the senses altogether. When there is some disease in the eyes may be cured to see properly. Plucking out the eyes is no treatment. Similarly, the whole material disease is based on the process of sense gratification, and liberation from the diseased condition is re-engagement of the senses to see the beauty of the Lord, hear his glories, and act on his account. Thus, Brahmaji created the universal activities. One cannot be situated in an exalted position without having undertaken a regulative life of rules and regulation. As an unrestricted life of sense gratification is animal life, and Lord Brahma, in order to teach all concerned within the jurisdiction of his generation, taught the same principles of sense control for executing higher duties. He desired the welfare of all as servants of God, and anyone desiring the welfare of the members of his family and generation must conduct a moral, religious life. The highest life of moral principles is to become a duty of the Lord, because a pure devotee of the Lord has all the good qualities of the Lord. On the other hand, one who is not a devotee of the Lord, how qualified he may be in the mundane sense of the term, cannot be qualified with any good quality worthy of the same name. The pure devotees of the Lord, like Brahma and persons in the chain of disciplic succession, do not do anything to instruct their subordinates without acting accordingly themselves. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho Sri Tapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam.
Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Nityānāmine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paśratya Deshatarine Vacha Kalpatarubecha Kripa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for introducing us to this important concept of the path of true knowledge. And this path of true knowledge is how we engage the senses in devotional service. So we are towards the end of this 9th chapter. So we saw that Krishna was speaking to Brahmaji, and yesterday we saw how he gave the deep meaning of the 4 verses. So how do we understand those meanings? We saw, to understand those meanings, you need to follow the instructions with extreme concentration. And then no one can ever be bewildered. So after this instructing Brahmaji, the Lord disappeared. And then Brahmaji starts creation based on instructions. And Brahmaji follows the regulative principles for welfare of all jivas. So here, Sri Shukdev Goswami ji describes how Lord Hari, after revealing the essence of Bhagavatam to Brahmaji, just vanished from his vision. And empowered by those divine instructions, Brahmaji recreated the universe. He didn't create it from scratch. He recreated the universe and engaged all beings in their respective duties. So these verses, they beautifully illustrate the principles of personalism, devotional engagement, spiritual knowledge, and disciplined living. So we already seen repeatedly, and this gets repeated again in this 30th verse, how Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the source of all jivas or all personalities. Bhagavatam is declaring that all living beings, all entities, they are individuals. Yet among all persons, Lord Hari is supreme. Nityo nityānāṁ, ce-tanānām. There is no impersonalism in spiritual world. Everything there is conscious, cetana, and personal. We saw it in the previous verse. Even the energies are personal. So the land, the trees, the water, the living beings, everything in Vaikuṇṭha, it possesses knowledge and it possesses individuality. And in such an atmosphere, which was shown to Brahmāji, the Lord then personally instructed Brahmā so that this transcendental wisdom, what is the transcendental wisdom? The essence of bhakti-yoga. So that it could be disseminated throughout the universe. And thus the system of disciplic succession started. And what is it based upon? It is based on śruti, hearing from authoritative sources. It is not on speculative experience. In fact, the true spiritual communication, it always follows the austerity of speech. We studied in Bhagavad-Gītā, 17th chapter, 15th verse. Now this is a homework for you. Everyone needs to write down. Bhagavad-Gītā 17.15. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam cha eva vangmayam tapa uchyate. So, words should be truthful. They should be pleasing. They should be beneficial and non-agitating. So, a preacher must speak according to scripture and with compassion. And he has to guide others gradually. So this penance of speech, it purifies both the speaker and the listener and automatically elevates the human society. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the Vedic method is to get knowledge through hearing. Now, if we speak of material knowledge, which we generally pass on in the schools and colleges nowadays, we'll say that it is limited by the imperfect senses and speculative reasoning, and moreover the four defects of the humans. But the Vedic method of acquiring knowledge is śruti, to hear submissively from a bona fide spiritual master who has realized the absolute. That is why Krishna said, Tad vidyanartham sagurum eva vigaccheta. That one must approach a genuine guru for transcendental understanding. By sincerely seeking the Lord, that is Krishna within the heart, is there as the Chaitya Guru. So the moment we sincerely seek him, he directs us to a bona fide spiritual master. And such a guru, being a representative of Krishna, he guides the disciples from ignorance to light. We studied Ishopanishad last year, all of us, if you remember, on the weekends. So the Ishopanishad emphasizes that only one who learns Vidya means spiritual knowledge, and simultaneously avidya, material knowledge, side by side, can transcend death and attain immortality. The advancement of material science without spiritual understanding simply expands the realm of illusion. But our objective is to get out of that illusion, and that is why along with avidya, we need to learn Vidya side by side. And for that, it is important, as mentioned in the second shloka, that we should engage the senses in Krishna's service. Now, when Lord disappeared, Brahmaji began recreating the universe. So, universe was there, it was annihilated, and now it is to be recreated. So, it's not that it is started from naught. So, recreation is happening. So, the verses from Hari Bhakti Subhodaya, they beautifully explain that the two purpose of our senses is to serve the devotees of the Lord. The eyes attain perfection by seeing a devotee. The body attains perfection by touching a devotee. The tongue attains perfection by glorifying the qualities of a devotee. So originally, our senses were created for the Lord's service. But due to illusion, the living beings misuse them for sense gratification. And the purpose of Krishna consciousness is to cure this disease by re-engaging the senses in serving Krishna and his devotees. So liberation does not mean destroying the senses, like personalists think. Liberation means purifying them for real use. And what is the real use? Seeing the beauty of the Lord, hearing his glories, serving him with love. Like we have these ophthalmological setups or hospitals nowadays. So those with diseased eyes, they generally go there. So diseased eyes are cured to restore vision, right? Similarly, the disease conditions of the senses is cured by devotional engagement, not by suppression. So we need to engage them. That is the treatment. And the power of a pure devotee is very important there. Hearing of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam becomes important there. Prabhupada used to say that a single pure devotee can purify the hearts of many fallen souls. And the cleansing effect of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is compared to the autumn rains that clear muddy waters. You remember we studied this shloka around 3 months ago, how the autumn rains, they come, when they come, already the water is muddy because of the rainy season. So the mud has settled, the water is completely muddy, and then all of a sudden in the month of autumn, the rains fall, and when the rains fall, the clean water pushes the muddy water. Similarly, devotional service, not mental speculation or yoga. Devotional service purifies permanently because it connects us directly with the Lord. So we studied the 6 favorable principles of devotion last week, if you remember. Enthusiasm, perseverance, avoiding bad association, following instructions of Guru, contentment, and humility. So these Shadbhir Bhakti, they enable the steady progress in bhakti-yoga. And that is where regular hearing and worship according to Bhagavata principles, they cleanse the accumulated impurities of lust, anger, and greed, lag. If you remember the lecture, we were talking about how lag keeps us behind. It keeps us here in this material world. So if you have to remove the impurities of lag, what we need is, we need to cleanse them, and that can be cleansed with regular hearing and worship according to Bhagavata. Because this allows the Lord to manifest within one's heart. Swayameva Spurteva Adaha. And if you have to implement this, that is where the 40th shloka comes in, where Brahmaji gives us the lifestyle that we need to follow. A regulated life and spiritual discipline. Brahmaji, who is the father of all beings, of religious life, he sets the example by following niyama, rules and regulations. So sense-controlled living is essential for self-realization, and unrestricted enjoyment is animal life. So the foundation of spiritual civilization is rests upon the Varnashrama dharma, where one performs one's duties with regulation, with purity. The highest morality is to become a devotee of the Lord, because a true devotee naturally possesses all good qualities of the Lord. And without devotion, even an educated person lacks real virtue. So Brahmaji, by example, instructed. He practiced what he preached. So the essence of true spiritual leadership lies in integrity and self-discipline. So Guru and Shastra, they are the parallel lines of person. Real spiritual progress, which each one of us is looking for, right? So it depends on the combined mercy of spiritual master and Krishna. The Chaitya Guru within and the Diksha Guru outside. They act in harmony to deliver the sincere seeker. So material knowledge, which is avidya, it creates pride and false security, while spiritual knowledge, vidya, it brings humility, it brings divine wisdom. Srila Vasudev was living simply in Badrikashram. He revealed vast spiritual literatures like the Vedas, Mahabharata, Vedanta Sutra, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, showing that enlightenment does not depend on technology. It depends on divine realization. So these shlokas that we are studying today, the teachings, if we summarize, it brings about the essence of true spiritual life. 5 important aspects. First, recognizing Krishna, the Supreme Lord, as the eternal person. Secondly, accept knowledge through hearing from a bona fide guru. Thirdly, engage the purified senses in Krishna's service. Fourthly, follow regulative principles for moral and spiritual strength. And fifthly, preach the message of bhakti for the welfare of everyone. So in following Brahma's example, we become instruments of divine compassion, serving Krishna, uplifting others, attaining perfection in devotional life. So the essence is not a life of negation, but a life of dedication. When we engage our senses in serving Krishna and follow the discipline of devotion, we transcend illusion, attain the supreme goal, which is pure love of Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.